I'd say there's a couple of reasons you like to race on GTA Online. One, you enjoy the content and have fun racing other players or your friends, or you want to complete the prize right challenge. And today we're going to be focusing on this. So hello everyone, welcome to the starting grid. Let's race. So, wait, quick disclaimer before we get into this. I am not a super fast pro racer. Expert out on that world record since I don't always run the best lines and tap the brakes a whole lot. However, I do consistently win the podium vehicles with the power of Star Nanners, and I'm here to help you to get yours too. So buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy. Kansas is going bye-bye. So, keyboard versus controller. I use one of these. We'll discuss it as we race, but for now, we're starting with the starting grid. All right, so... Well, man, it's just you need a few extra things before you go. Go on. Thank you. So we're going to focus on the tuner series here to try to keep this simple. If you want me to help you with like other specific type of race, let me know in the comment section below. So, all cars in this series have similar stats with only slight differences. If you can't afford them all, keep racing until you find out one that handles the way you enjoy. Keep in mind, we'll be adding it to the collection later and upgrading it before signing up for racing. Yes, so you can actually see a few examples here. Everyone thinks that you're racing stock. Just a quick interruption to the interruptions. If you're short for some GTA coin, I have a playlist with tutorials and walkthroughs for the various heists and robberies and raids and whatnot. I'll link it at the end of this video. Go check it out. Or don't. You do whatever you want. I'm not the boss of you. Before upgrading for racing. So, auto shop. So I always say that the auto shop should be your first property purchase. And I always defend that, not only because the missions can be soloed and they pay decently, but also because it unlocks all car upgrades, which comes handy if you want to win the races for the podium vehicles and whatnot. Notice we're not making any changes to the body, as we'll be racing a sleeper. This has to do with how you present yourself on the grid. Yes, to other players. You can actually see a few examples here. Everyone will think that you're racing stock. So other racers will think your car won't be as fast as theirs, so you won't be perceived as a threat, at least at the start. So, in this grid... Wait. Dude, I wasn't done yet. I was just going to say that there's a couple of other upgrades also important, like raised transmissions and turbo will fill up the acceleration bar, a good improvement from the stock cars, obviously, and armor will keep your chassis together, especially on dirty racer lobbies where everyone just throws everyone else around. Bulletproof tires, always handy, and now we're ready to race. Okay, so we reached the grid and the countdown is starting. Oh, and also there's a control. Dude, come back. I was just going to say that there's a controller at the end of the screen just so people can see my tapping pattern. Come back. I needed to explain stuff. Fuck it, we do it live. So, keep in mind, this is far from perfect and there's plenty of room for improvement, but the point here is you don't always go full throttle. You just need to slam on the brakes on every turn. That's not how you do it. So there's like ways to do this. So time to go with hitting full throttle for a starting boost. This isn't always easy to do, especially if you have a little bit of lag, but with a bit of practice, you should be able to get the hang of it. Sometimes during the countdown, he just skips the 3 to 1 or something. I don't think I have examples of that, but for the most part, you should be able to get used to do it, even if there's only a couple seconds for you to be ready. Second, pedal to the metal until you reach the first turn and you're going to do something wild, right? We're going to release the throttle, shocking, and we're not going to be just slamming on the brakes. We're just typing him like a little bit, unless we really have to just do the tight corner. Let me see if I can have like a good example to it. Okay, this is a good example to explain this. So hitting the throttle to help turn the car. So this is just to make like the coming out of as much speed as possible from the turns. And you want to get out of the turn accelerating, not just after you complete the turn, you accelerate, or you're pressing the brakes as you're trying to turn, because the car will be like struggling. You'll be like fighting against the car. Once you start racing a bit more and you start having like all those clean laps, you can start focusing a little bit more on a couple of other things. So we're starting with race lines. There's always going to be a good line versus a bad line, and I think this just takes a little bit of getting used to, and then see how the car performs, how exactly you like your suspension. I think I tend to keep my suspension as high as possible, just to try to kind of negotiate these like weird bumps that you see here. But for the most part, this is going to be a little bit of preference. There's always going to be like better lines than others, so it's just up to you to race and then get used to what works for you. However, this brings us to shortcuts. Some will have you set up in a particular direction, and others are just a huge time savers. I'm putting like a few examples here on the screen now where you see that a shortcut is really a shortcut, and then there's others that will just set you up properly after you come in from a turn or something. So it's handy if you need to work on shaving your time for your personal best, so for your laps. And there are a few that aren't shortcuts at all, and or you'll think that it's not really worth taking them. So it's going to be up to you to decide. I sometimes don't take certain shortcuts because the payoff, or it could be a little bit tricky to negotiate, especially if you're racing with other people and have contact. If you're racing non-contact, it's going to be all you, so it's all the blame is going to be on you. But if you're racing with contact, it might be a little bit tricky to negotiate. So for those times, I just prefer to take the longer, safest line. Another very tricky thing to do to master while racing is, of course, dealing with the 7 other people in the grid. So the most important thing will always be to not let that get into your head and just keep doing your thing. And I know this is a huge ask because your goal is to finish on a certain position to complete the challenge, and not to just go around and then wrong the people, or right the people who wronged you, or seek revenge, or just getting mad at it. It's not going to help. You're going to tilt, and it's going to be so much harder to complete the race. You need to keep your eyes on the prize. What you're there to do is to complete the race, not to just seek revenge because someone just bumped into you. And I know, I'll admit, sometimes you just can't help it, and it happens to all of us. Every now and again, I just get like a little bit, anger bar fills up, and you just need to seek justice. So I'll say this much: don't let that build up on you. If someone bump into you, you can bump a little bit back and something, but on the other hand, just don't let that consume you entirely. So you're there to win the prize. You're not there to just seek revenge and everything. If you need to win the race, that's a step forward from this sort of videos. So the corollary for this, it's paramount to keep your cool at all times. This doesn't go just for GTA Online racing, but for every single other game as well. I know this is a huge ask to just control your emotions. Everyone wants to just be a little bit cathartic when it comes to this, but learning to control that adrenaline by making the best use of that temporary boost, I think it's always going to be a win situation for you. So have your car race ready. If you're still racing stock, there's like a little bit of work into that. Check the playlist. Practice your boost starts. Work on your race line. Choose your shortcuts wisely, and this will translate into clean laps. Stay calm, stay collected. For every one less mistake you do, your lap time will improve. So at the starting grid, make sure you have like a really good boost start. This can be done with either a stock car or just a normal race ready car. Make sure you're running a sleeper, just so people would dismiss you like for that split second. Work on your race lines. Not all race lines are good or bad or anything or whatever. You need to find out what works for you or not, which shortcuts you're going to be taking, which ones you're just going to dismiss, and which ones are the ones that are worth taking the risk. This will translate into clean laps if you're trapping your brakes, if you're feathering the throttle and then whatnot, if you're trying to get out of the turns with as much acceleration as possible. Stay calm. stay collected, and for every less mistake you do, your lap time will improve, and you're gonna be winning those race cars things from the podium, vehicles, whatever. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the finish line. Bish signing out.